So hello guys, in this video I am going to show you how to implement the jumping feature onto your player when it touches the ground. So let's get started. Here you can see in my project folder there are two images that I have imported. So one I will use for the background and another I will use for the player. So I will drag this one here and I will just set it up so that it fills the camera. Now it's looking good. Now we want a player. Oh, let's rename this one as background so that we don't get confused. Now we want a player. So I will drag this one and I will rotate this one to 90 degree in the Z axis. Now it's looking good. Now I will increase the order in layer so that it gets on the top, and now I will decrease the size a little bit more. Yes, now it's looking good. So this will be our player. So again I will rename this one as player. Now I will apply a rigid body component to our player game object so that it is affected by the gravity. So click on add component and type rigid body RIGID rigid body. Here you can see rigid body and rigid body 2D. Click on rigid body 2D as we are working with 2D. So that's it. So now we have to apply a box collider to it. Now I will type again POX box collider 2D. Click on box collider. So it is now set up. Now in the background I will also create a box collider. Here you can see the green line is showing the collider area. Now I will decrease the size of the collider, this one. So this is the area of our box collider, that is our background. So little bit more, yes, this one. So now as you can see, if I press the play option, the player will fall down due to gravity. See, it falls down because it has rigid body component to it and it is getting affected by gravity. So now we want our player to jump, and to do that we required a script. So click on your player game object and click on add component and type a name as you want. I will name it as player controller. Now I will press here enter. Now click on create and add. Now you can see I have just created our player controller script and it is already attached to our game object as well. So now I will just click on the player controller and double click on it to open it on Visual Studios. Now I will just erase this one and this one. Now we want our rigid body. And to get the rigid body, I will just type rigid body RIGID rigid body 2D and name this one as RB. And to get the rigid body from the player game object, we need to write here in the start RB equal to get component. So we are getting the rigid body component from the player game object, and we have already attached the rigid body component to our player. So type RI and rigid body 2D parenthesis. Now in the update, if we want a if condition. We want a if condition. Now we'll check if input dot get key down and the key will be key code dot space. Yes, we want our player to jump whenever we press the space button. So now open and close. Now in the top we require a public float jump speed. Let's specify this one as 4f. Initially 4f is the jump speed. Now we will play with the velocity. RB dot velocity will be equal to new vector 2, since this is a 2D game. And if you click the down option, you can see there are two options available. It is asking for float and again float. So I will specify this one as rb dot velocity dot x. This will be as it is. In the x-axis it will be as it is, and now in the y-axis we want to jump, so we required this one to be as jump speed. So what is happening here? So every frame it is asking, the if condition is asking if we press space, then the velocity of the player will be jump speed, and jump speed will be equal to 4f. And so each and every time we press the space key button, our player will jump. So let's test this one. Click on save. Yes. Oh, sorry. It should be jump. Now press save, and now let's see if it works or not. Okay. Now let's see if it is attached. Yes. All done. Now maximize on play. You can see as soon as I press the space button, the our player jumps. One space, two space, three space, four. Every time we press the space key button, our player jumps. So it is working. You can see one more thing, that if we press the space key button continuously, our player keeps jumping on and on. So we could go up above this one to infinity. So we don't want that. And to deal with this, we want to edit our script a little bit more. So let's do it. Ground checkpoint. This will be of type transform. So this is written as public. So and this will accept only transform. Now we need another float. P public float ground check radius. This will be our ground check radius. Now we required a bool. Bool will return true or false. Let's name it as is it touching. Is it touching? Okay, everything is good. Now what we have to do? Click on save and minimize the editor and let it compile. That's it. Now click on the player game object and scroll down to your script. You can see it is asking for a okay, one more thing, we require one more thing. Public layer mask. We will name it as ground. Now click on save. I am really sorry, I forgot that one. Now if you click on the player game object, you can see in the script there are many variables available. This is for the jump, this is for the ground, this is for the radius, and this is for the player. So in the ground checkpoint it is asking something. See, it is asking the transform. So click on player and right click here and create empty. Name this one as ground checkpoint. GR checkpoint. Yes, that's it. Now if you zoom and click on the move tool, you can see the arrows are available. So drag this one to the bottom of your player and place it here. So this will be our ground checkpoint. So this will check if the player is touching the ground or not, and ground will be the background. Okay. Let's rename this one as foreground. This will check if the player is touching the foreground or not. So now click on player and drag the ground checkpoint, place it here. Now we need a ground layer. So now we want to specify the layer of the ground, and to do that click on the foreground, that is this one, and on the top right corner you can see the layer option available. So click on the layer and click on add layer and name as you want. I will name it as ground. Press enter. Again click on foreground, and from the option just select the ground option. Click it. Now again go to your player and scroll down a bit, and you click on this one small arrow and click the ground option. So this is set to ground layer. Now it is specifying, now it is asking for the ground check radius. Let's increase this one to something, yes, 29. Now let's increase this one to 0.29. Now we have completed this one and this one. I will explain you why I wrote 0.29. So now let's open the script again. Now we want to use this one, is touching ground. Now let's bring this one into action. So right is touching equal to physics 2D, phy physics 2D dot overlap, overlap overlap circle. Click enter. Now if you click the arrow buttons, you can see it is asking vector to float and layer mask. Now let's specify the position. So the position will be ground ground checkpoint dot position. Since we want the position, we wrote ground check dot position. Now we required radius. Now we will just write the ground check radius variable, ground check radius. Now it is asking layer mask. Which layer mask? ground ground. That's it. So what is happening here? So every frame, this overlap circle will check if the player is touching the ground or not, and if the layer is ground or not. Now in the if condition, we will write and is touching. That's it. Now what it will do? It will check if the player is touching the ground or not. If it is touching, this is touching will return true. And in the if condition, we are asking the key code, that is space. If space is pressed and is touching ground is true, then our player will jump. So now let's test this one. Click on save. That's it. Guys, you can see I am pressing space again and again and again, but it is not working. It is only jumping if the player touches the ground. If the player is flying, it is not working. You can hear the sound. So it is not working. So it is done. So I will show you what I told here, that in the player, in the ground check radius, I wrote 0.29. Why is that? So below the update, just write on draw gizmos. Press enter and here you write GIZ gizmos. This is not required. This is to show you the actual working. So write gizmos dot, then you will see multiple option available. Click on draw wires pair. Click this one and it is asking vector 3 and float. So we will specify ground check ground, our ground check point, that position, comma, our radius. What is our radius? Ground check radius. Now if I press save and wait for it to get compiled, you can see this white circle is available. What is happening here? If the player touches the ground and this area is in contact with the ground layer, then it will trigger true. And if true is triggered, then this statement will be true and our player will jump. You can see if I increase the ground radius, it is increasing. So if I increase this much, you can see it is jumping at a certain height, because this one is touching too early. So that's why I wrote 0.29. You could tweak it as you want. So guys, if you want more videos like this, then please give a like on this video and do subscribe to our channel. So thank you.